In today's video, we take a deep dive into the environmental and social challenges faced by some of the dirtiest countries in the world. From air pollution to deforestation, and from water contamination to the daily struggles of millions of people, these issues are not just environmental, they're human. Each country we cover is grappling with severe pollution, often as a consequence of rapid industrialization, poor infrastructure, and lack of regulatory enforcement. But what makes this journey even more compelling is the impact on the most vulnerable women and children, who bear the brunt of these harsh realities. And, as you stick with us through the countdown, you'll discover that the country in the #1 spot will leave you truly shocked. It's an eye-opener that you can't afford to miss. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with our latest content. Welcome to World Marvels. 10 Women's Struggles in India. India ranks among the top countries with severe pollution, and this has profound implications for its female population. A staggering 620 million people, particularly in rural areas, lack access to proper sanitation facilities. This forces many, especially women, to defecate in the open, which not only degrades their dignity, but also exposes them to serious health risks and the threat of violence. The issue is compounded by the use of biomass fuels like wood and agricultural waste for cooking. These fuels, commonly used in both rural and urban areas, emit harmful pollutants that contribute to indoor air pollution. This type of pollution is a silent killer, causing respiratory issues and other health problems that disproportionately affect women, who spend more time indoors cooking. Furthermore, as India plans to increase its coal-fired power production by 50% between 2018 and 2030, the pollution problem is expected to worsen. This expansion could lead to an additional 844,000 premature deaths, with women and children being the most affected due to their vulnerable health status. Traffic congestion in India's major cities also exacerbates the pollution crisis. With vehicles crawling through traffic at an average speed of less than 20 kilometers per hour, the emission levels are 4 to 8 times higher than they would be if traffic flowed smoothly. This creates a toxic environment that makes daily life a struggle for millions, particularly women who have fewer resources to protect themselves from such hazards. 9. Indonesia's environmental crisis. Indonesia is facing an environmental crisis of massive proportions, with Jakarta at the epicenter. The country's PM2.5 particulate matter levels hover around 37 micrograms per cubic meter, which is far above the World Health Organization's (WHO) recommended limits. This level of air pollution contributes to the deaths of over 232,000 Indonesians each year. But the air quality is just one part of the story. Indonesia has also seen nearly 40% of its forest cover disappear in the last 50 years. This deforestation not only threatens biodiversity, but also disrupts the lives of indigenous communities who rely on the forest for their livelihoods. The Indonesian government has set ambitious goals to tackle these issues, including a target to have over 500,000 electric vehicles on the road by 2030. This move could significantly reduce emissions from the transport sector, which is a major contributor to the country's air pollution. Additionally, Indonesia has pledged to stop building new coal-fired power plants as of 2023, aiming for net-zero carbon emissions by 2050. However, these efforts face significant challenges, particularly with 10 coal-fired power plants still operating within a 100 kilometers radius of Jakarta. The government's commitment to transitioning to cleaner energy sources is a positive step, but the road ahead is fraught with difficulties, especially in balancing economic growth with environmental sustainability. Indonesia's rapid urbanization has also exacerbated the environmental crisis. Cities like Jakarta are bursting at the seams, with poor infrastructure and inadequate waste management systems. This has led to rivers and waterways becoming choked with plastic and other waste, further degrading the environment. The impact on public health is severe, with waterborne diseases and respiratory issues becoming increasingly common. The situation in Indonesia is a stark reminder of the consequences of unchecked industrialization and the urgent need for sustainable development practices. 8. Qatar's pollution paradox. Qatar, often celebrated for its wealth and rapid modernization, faces a severe pollution problem that threatens its environment and the health of its population. The country's PM2.5 pollution index stands at a worrying 37.6, driven by its booming construction industry, a rapidly growing population, and a bustling aviation sector. During the 2022 FIFA World Cup, for example, the sheer number of flights significantly increased emissions, with Qatar Airways operating around 60 flights a day between Doha and Dubai on match days. The event highlighted the environmental challenges Qatar faces as it seeks to balance economic growth with sustainability. Despite these challenges, Qatar is making strides towards a greener future. During the 2015 Paris climate talks, Qatar committed to reducing its emissions by 25% by 2030. The country has also recently connected a large solar power plant to the national grid, which at full capacity can provide up to 10% of Qatar's clean energy needs. Additionally, Doha has introduced a modern metro system and developed more green spaces and parks, signaling a shift towards sustainability. However, Qatar's deep dependence on fossil fuels remains a significant obstacle. As one of the world's top oil producers, Qatar's economic model is heavily reliant on the extraction and export of fossil fuels, which continue to contribute to global carbon emissions. Qatar's journey towards sustainability is further complicated by its water scarcity issues. The country relies heavily on desalination to meet its water needs, a process that is energy-intensive and contributes to pollution. The rapid urbanization and population growth have also put pressure on Qatar's infrastructure, leading to challenges in waste management and water conservation. As Qatar continues to grow and develop, the balancing act between maintaining its economic prosperity and protecting its environment will be a critical challenge. 7. China's growing pollution problem. China, the world's second-largest economy, is also one of its most polluted, and the environmental toll of its rapid industrialization is staggering. The average concentration of PM 2.5 particles in the air has risen to 32.5 micrograms per cubic meter, more than 6 times the level recommended by the United Nations. This pollution, primarily from coal-fired power plants and heavy industries, has severe health consequences. In cities like Beijing, the air quality is so poor that it's equivalent to smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. This constant exposure to polluted air leads to respiratory problems, cardiovascular diseases, and other health issues, particularly affecting the elderly and children. Despite the Chinese government's commitment to peaking carbon emissions between 2026 and 2030 and achieving carbon neutrality by 2060, the approval of new coal power plants threatens to derail these efforts. China is the world's largest emitter of greenhouse gases, surpassing the United States in total carbon dioxide emissions. The environmental crisis in China is a direct result of its rapid industrial growth, which has prioritized economic development over environmental protection for decades. China's urbanization has also contributed to the pollution crisis. The country's rapid urban expansion has led to the destruction of natural landscapes, the overuse of natural resources, and the generation of massive amounts of waste. Water pollution is another critical issue, with many of China's rivers and lakes contaminated by industrial runoff and untreated sewage. This pollution not only affects the environment but also poses a significant threat to public health, as millions of people rely on these water sources for drinking and irrigation. The Chinese government has implemented various policies to address these issues, but the scale of the problem requires more comprehensive and aggressive actions to ensure a sustainable future. 6. Pakistan's pollution crisis. Pakistan is grappling with one of the most severe pollution crises in the world, with cities like Lahore experiencing PM 2.5 levels as high as 99.5 micrograms per cubic meter. This extreme air pollution, driven by industrial emissions, vehicle exhaust, and crop burning, leads to nearly 128,000 deaths annually. The situation becomes even more dire during the winter months, when a thick smog blankets major cities, further degrading air quality and causing widespread health problems. Respiratory issues, cardiovascular diseases, and other pollution-related illnesses are rampant, particularly among the poor, who have limited access to healthcare. Water pollution is another major issue in Pakistan, contributing to deadly outbreaks of diseases like cholera and typhoid. Contaminated water sources, coupled with poor sanitation infrastructure, have created a public health crisis, particularly in rural areas. The lack of clean drinking water exacerbates the already dire health conditions. leading to high rates of child mortality and other preventable diseases. Women in Pakistan are disproportionately affected by pollution due to their traditional roles in the household. They are often the most exposed to indoor air pollution from cooking with biomass fuels, such as wood and dung, which are commonly used in rural areas. This exposure increases their risk of respiratory illnesses and other health problems. Pregnant women are particularly vulnerable, as exposure to high levels of pollution can lead to complications such as preterm births and low birth weight babies. The burden of caring for sick family members also falls largely on women, adding to their already heavy responsibilities and limiting their opportunities for education and employment. 5. UAE's double-edged sword. The United Arab Emirates (UAE) is known for its wealth, luxury, and modernity, but beneath the surface lies a growing environmental problem. The country's PM2.5 levels have soared to 43 micrograms per cubic meter, well above the World Health Organization's safety threshold. This pollution primarily stems from the UAE's heavy reliance on fossil fuels, as it remains one of the world's top oil producers. The extraction and burning of these fossil fuels pump a staggering amount of harmful emissions into the air, contributing to the degradation of air quality and the health of the population. Despite the UAE government's high-profile commitments to reducing greenhouse gas emissions and improving air quality, the continued expansion of fossil fuel extraction raises serious doubts about the country's dedication to a sustainable future. The UAE has made significant investments in renewable energy, including the construction of large solar power plants and the development of a nuclear power program. However, these efforts are often overshadowed by the country's ongoing dependence on oil and gas production. The situation is particularly concerning for women in the UAE, who are more vulnerable to the health impacts of pollution, especially those with pre-existing conditions. Studies have shown that air pollution disproportionately affects women, particularly during pregnancy, leading to an increased risk of complications such as preterm births and low birth weight babies. The health of future generations is also at stake, as prolonged exposure to polluted air can have lasting effects on children's development. 4. Egypt's air pollution catastrophe. Egypt is facing a severe air pollution crisis that affects millions of its citizens. The national average for PM2.5 has reached 42.4 micrograms per cubic meter, leading to respiratory diseases that force up to 2 million Egyptians to seek medical attention each year. The World Bank estimates that air pollution in Greater Cairo alone costs the country $1.5 billion annually in healthcare expenses. This is a staggering amount, equivalent to nearly 47.7 billion Egyptian pounds, and highlights the significant economic burden that pollution places on the nation. The Egyptian government has implemented various measures to combat air pollution, including regulating industrial emissions and promoting the use of clean fuel vehicles. However, these efforts are often fragmented and insufficient, failing to address the root causes of the problem. A World Bank report from 2013 pointed out that Egypt's policies on air pollution control are poorly coordinated, lacking the comprehensive strategy needed to make a significant impact. Adding to the complexity of Egypt's environmental challenges is the paradox of deforestation. While trees and greenery are essential for filtering air and combating climate change, Egypt has been cutting down vast numbers of trees to make way for infrastructure projects such as road expansions and canal constructions. This deforestation directly undermines the country's climate adaptation goals and exacerbates the air pollution problem. The government's approach to managing green spaces and natural resources needs to be reevaluated to ensure that development projects do not come at the expense of the environment. 3. Iraq's environmental struggles. Iraq faces a dual environmental crisis, with severe air pollution and the impacts of prolonged conflict taking a heavy toll on the country. The PM2.5 index in Iraq reached an alarming 80 in 2022, driven by the oil industry, which contributes nearly 95% of Iraq's foreign exchange earnings. While this industry is crucial to the nation's economy, it also releases harmful pollutants like benzene and methane into the atmosphere, significantly degrading air quality and posing serious health risks to the population. The environmental degradation in Iraq has been further exacerbated by years of war and conflict. From 2014 to 2017, military operations left behind vast amounts of waste and hazardous chemicals, polluting Iraq's soil, water, and air. These pollutants have had devastating effects on the health of Iraq's population, leading to an increased incidence of cancer, cardiovascular diseases, and respiratory illnesses. The long-term environmental damage caused by these conflicts continues to affect the country's ability to recover and rebuild. In response to these environmental challenges, the Iraqi government launched an ambitious program in 2023 to plant 5 million trees across the nation. This initiative is part of a broader effort to restore Iraq's natural environment and mitigate the effects of pollution. However, experts warn that tree planting alone is not enough to address the country's environmental crisis. Comprehensive policies and coordinated efforts are needed to tackle the root causes of pollution and ensure a sustainable future for Iraq. 2. Bangladesh's pollution battle. Bangladesh is engaged in a life-or-death battle against air pollution, with its air quality reaching some of the most dangerous levels in the world. The PM 2.5 concentration in the country often exceeds safe limits, leading to severe health consequences for the population. The culprits behind this pollution are rampant industrial emissions, vehicle exhaust, and the widespread use of traditional brick kilns, which spew toxic pollutants into the air. The lack of strict environmental regulations and enforcement has allowed these pollution sources to continue unchecked, resulting in an estimated 272,000 premature deaths each year. The World Bank reports that air pollution, along with water pollution, inadequate sanitation, and exposure to lead, contributes to more than 5 billion days of illness annually in Bangladesh. The health impacts are felt across all age groups, but the most vulnerable, children and the elderly, are the hardest hit. Breathing the air in Bangladesh is estimated to shorten life expectancy by almost 7 years, a statistic that underscores the severity of the pollution crisis. The country's booming economy, driven by rapid industrialization and urbanization, has come at a significant environmental cost. While per capita income is rising, the degradation of the environment threatens to undermine the nation's long-term development prospects. The government has implemented some measures to address these issues, but much more needs to be done to protect public health and the environment. 1. Nepal's hidden pollution crisis. Nepal, known for its stunning landscapes and rich cultural heritage, is facing a hidden pollution crisis that is threatening both its environment and the health of its people. The capital city, Kathmandu, has seen its air pollution levels soar in recent years, with PM 2.5 concentrations often exceeding 42 micrograms per cubic meter. This level of pollution is primarily due to the unique geography of the Kathmandu Valley, which traps pollutants and creates a toxic environment. The rapid urbanization of Kathmandu has turned the city into a bustling metropolis, with a population density that has surged in recent years. The number of vehicles on the roads has exploded, leading to severe traffic congestion and high levels of vehicle emissions. The city's infrastructure has struggled to keep pace with this growth, resulting in poorly maintained roads and inadequate waste management systems. In addition to vehicular pollution, Kathmandu is also plagued by dust from construction sites and smoke from traditional brick kilns. The city has become a sprawling construction site, with new buildings and roads being built at a rapid pace. However, this development has come at a significant cost to the environment, as the dust and smoke from these activities further degrade the air quality. Nepal's reliance on biomass fuels for cooking and heating also contributes to the pollution crisis. In rural areas, where access to modern energy sources is limited, households continue to use wood and other traditional fuels, leading to high levels of indoor air pollution. This pollution is particularly harmful to women and children, who spend more time indoors and are more exposed to the harmful effects of smoke and other pollutants. The government of Nepal has implemented various initiatives to address these issues, including efforts to promote clean energy and improve waste management. However, the scale of the problem requires a more coordinated and aggressive approach. Without significant changes, the pollution crisis in Nepal will continue to threaten the health of its population and the sustainability of its natural environment. As we conclude this exploration of some of the dirtiest countries in the world, it's clear that pollution is not just an environmental issue. It's a human crisis that affects millions of lives every day. From the struggles of women in India to the hidden dangers in Nepal, each country we've covered is facing unique challenges that require urgent action. The stories we've shared today highlight the importance of sustainable development and the need for global cooperation to address these pressing issues. What do you think? How would you feel living in one of these countries? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspectives. And if you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. Your support helps us continue to bring you the stories that matter. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the world's most polluted places. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and take care of our planet. Goodbye.